discussing from the students. It is such an honor to present in front of such legends. So without wasting any time, I will go to something simpler, which is I asked in the exam. Like, so what is the diagnosis, and could you exactly localize the artery in this study?
That is what was asked actually. There was a quiz recently also which was asked to many of the PhD students. Can somebody just take this up? The answer is for us is really not going to help anyone.
Yeah, please.
Nobody is for hands.
Yeah.
Please.
Why do you say this?
G1 is more like the estimation of estimation
Okay, first we can diagnosis as that inferolateral and posterior involvement. So infero-posterior-lateral, mostly due to circumflex. You are right. So you can see that 2 is elevated more than the 3. Okay, and the depression in AVR is more than the depression in AVL. Actually, there is an elevation in AVL and 1. And you are rightly saying that the depression in anterior leads are more than the elevation in the inferior leads. So there are many pointers for circumflex. So you should know that. And you can also see the B5, B6 also being elevated. So it is infero, posterior, lateral, am I rightly said circumflex. Thank you. So what is the site of this? Can you localize the artery? Oh, LED. Which LED? Proximal. Exactly. Before S1, after D1. Anyone please? Anyone please? Nobody? So you are telling before S1 and after D1. Is it? Are you sure? Why? Why it is not proximal to D1 also? I will say it is proximal to S1 and D1. Why not?
1 AVL stage.
Yeah, sure. So you are getting also what is the criteria for prox to S1 elevation? You are getting QRBP pattern with elevation in V1, also some elevation in AVR, depression in V5 and V6. Okay, so and along with inferior leads. So it is prox to S1, but if it would have been prox to S1 and D1, then it would have as well involved the lateral leads. That is one and again. So anybody who is this personality? So it is Werner Fastman, and he got another place for cardiac operation. Very good. Who is this personality?
Christian.
Very good. Christian Maran. It's a fast heart transplant. So could you say who is the pioneer of CABG in India? Who is the... Sorry? Yeah, Dr. K.M. Cherian. Very good. So what else did he do? He was also the first person to do a heart transplant. Who is the first woman president of AHA? Sorry? Yeah. So what is the contribution of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam to cardiology? Yeah. So now we move on to the imaging, which is a hot topic. So identify the OCT finding. Anybody? So what does this arrows point to? Okay, it would be easier if I... So this is a thin cap fibroadenoma, and you can see here, apart from thin cap fibroadenoma, there is a lipid rich plaque, which is, what is the significance of TCFA? It is a high risk feature for ACS. You should know all the high risk features which are pertaining to ACS.
But OCT finding, I mean OCT was asked, and then 4 questions pertaining to each OCT image was also asked. So if you are not familiar, please go through it.
Yeah, the basics just you should know how the lipid looks, how the calcium looks, what is the thin cap hypertherma, what is the definition of it. So you can see this OCT finding. You can see the arrow. What is anybody? Malapposition. So my next question is how do you define malapposition?
Any one person.
Any one person, please.
Sorry? Is it stent based? Is it strut thickness based? Or is it anything more than the strut thickness?
Yeah, what is exactly the definition? Yeah, because if you are getting the oxydo stent which is like 60 micron and you are comparing with the paclitaxel stent where the thickness of the strut is very different. So we cannot generalize like it is more than 400, 600. It is sometimes they have described as 1.5 or 2 times the strut thickness. So what is the next line of management? If you see such features after stenting, what do you do? Anybody? So you have to post direct, isn't it? So why? Because there is an immediate risk of acute stent thrombosis. Yeah. So what do you see in this OCT?
You actually have a classification just to add to that: protruding, non-opposed, protruding, opposed, non-protruding, opposed, non-protruding, non-opposed. You actually have a classification: protruding, opposed, and 2 by 2 factorials. Because protruding, non-opposed, protruding, opposed, non-protruding, opposed, non-protruding, non-opposed. Just to add to that. Sorry.
So what do you see?
And just one more thing. Sorry, man. Because all these things come in exams. What is MLD max? Anybody? This was asked as a full question. What is MLD max algorithm? This was asked last year in DMD. This was given by Ziad from US. What is MLD? Morphology, lesion, diameter. And what is max? Medial dissection, A and X. Apposition, expansion.
So what do you see this star mark thing in OCT? So what is the... Sorry? No, it's not a stent.
You think about what is there behind it? See.
Where is the stent?
There is no stent.
Okay, red thrombus. No, actually it is a eruptive calcific nodule, which is again a high risk feature for OCT. Okay. So, and what is the feature you find at 8 to 10 o'clock? It is a simple calcium. It is a superficial calcium. Okay.
So then it came in the next part is what would you want to do for it? We will not discuss it, but then Rota, IVL, everything comes here. Where you, not IVL. So Rota versus IVL comes here. Yeah, you can show it with your arrows.
So this is the calcium you can see from 8 to 10 o'clock. It is a superficial calcium which is near the intima. If it is adventitial, then actually the OCT is not good for adventitial calcium because the penetration is less. IVUS is a more better diagnostic modality for your adventitial calcium. So then the last OCT thing which we are going. So what is this condition and in which subset of the population this is expected, and what is your next line of management when you see this? So,
okay, this is an ACS, anybody?
Okay, yeah. So, do you think there is any dissection over
there? There is no dissection at all there.
So
this is your garden variety 40-year-old male who comes to you with an ACS. Now tell us.
So this is actually plaque erosion. So erosion and dissection both can cause ACS. So what is the rupture? And in which subset of the population? Mostly in young population. And if you see this, just do a thrombosection and come out. You don't put a stent if there is no plaque rupture. So that is the significance of that. So in your angiogram, you find 100% occulted artery. You do a thrombosection. You run an OCT in a young population. You see there is only plaque erosion. So you can leave it. But if you find a plaque rupture as sir mentioned, then you have to stent it. So
how would you read this place? Anybody? Obviously, it's an FFR trace. So now you have to read this and tell us what do you see in this. You see the one at the top, that's the lesion on angio. And then you see the two FFR traces at the bottom, the left and the right. Same patient, same time taken. What is the difference and what do you think is happening?
Anybody?
This is real life and actually happened. That's right. Anybody, let's just give them some time. Anyone wants to attempt this? You can take a mic here, please.
So you can tell me what is that?
No, is the trace the same on the left and the right? The green trace. I can just give you a clue on that. What is the difference really? You go ahead and answer.
So you can see in angiogram there is a borderline disease in the mid-elbow. So what does this FFR trace tell us about the result? You can ask sir, there are two types of traces.
By itself, what does it tell you? 0.76? Correct. Now what happens on the right side? What has happened to the trace on the right?
So first thing, why the operator has taken two traces of the same patient, why he got 0.76, you know that 0.80 and below is significant. So why he took a second trace? So you can see this is the arterial trace and this is the wire trace. Okay. So this is the outer trace and this is the wire trace. You can see there is notch in the distal in the wire tracing. You can, this green one, you can see the dicrotic notch. So if when you are doing a FFR, you should be always sure after you give the adenosine, this distal dicrotic notch in the distal, in the FFR wire should vanish, so that you can actually tell that the reading is correct. What does we tell this? We tell this as a drift. Okay. So if there is a drift, then we cannot actually tell whether the lesion is significant. What may be the value? We don't care. So what we can do? If you get this type of dicrotic notch, then it is sure that your FFR is not correct. And how can you again be double sure whether you are having a drift or not? So you just pull back the wire to the guide. Okay. If it is equalizing, then you are actually correct. But if it is not equalizing, then you are sure that it is a drift. Okay. You understood? So this is a drift. They will ask you about shift and drift, at least in FFR. So you should be prepared. Post adenosine, there should be ventricularization, as you can see in the FFR wire. Okay, then actually you are doing a good FFR. But if you don't get this, then you have to repeat the FFR. Or if you are full after adenosine, whatever value you get, you should always pull back the FFR to the guide and again prove that there is equalization. Because there are three steps: zeroing, equalization, and adenosine. So after equalization, you do the post adenosine after you get past the lesion. Your pressure sensor is distal to the lesion. You take PD by PA, and if it is less than 0.8, it is significant. Okay.
The other ramification of this in one of the exams 2-3 years back was they asked about RFR, IFR, this for the DMD test, and they also asked about all the other agents that can be used for FFR. Once they asked about non-contrast, non-adenosine FFR, plain FFR at the baseline basically. So all those questions have been asked. So there are ramifications about what we could be asked on this.
So coming to IVUS, so what is this thing?
FFR and mismatch, I'm sorry. One more thing was FFR and mismatch. Match and mismatch. That was not part of this. Sorry.
So coming to IVUS, so what do you see here?
Anybody, what is this IVUS finding?
What is this IVUS finding? Anyone? Very good. So it is a myocardial bridging. You should know how it presents and what are the treatment options. So they will be asking you what are the first they can show angio about it. You can see the. So what is the best the diagnostic modality to diagnose myocardial bridging? It is a CT coronary angiogram. Okay. So what do you see here? So there are some
IVUS images.
Yeah, IVUS images. So this is A, B, C, D, E, F. So you can see. So what is that? So it is calcium. So it is like 90 degree. And what is this? So how does the management differs? So the question
you
is,
have a certain, you already showed. IVUS calcium score. Somebody can tell us if you know.
Yeah,
what is the rule of 5? This was asked in one exam.
So whenever you do an angiogram, you see severe calcific disease and you go for the IVUS, then you see what is the quadrant of calcium which is occupied, if it is, if you should like follow this algorithm. If there is more than 270, if then the calcium you have to more than 270 and it is more than 5 millimeter. Okay, the length is more than 5 millimeter. Or straight away there is 360 degree of calcium. Or there is a calcific nodule which I showed you previously. Or the vessel diameter is less than 3.5. So if the score is 2 or above, okay, if the score is 2 out of these 4 points, if 2 or above, then we should proceed with atherectomy. Okay, root orbital or ideal. So, sir told about the OCT calcium score. You should also know, some examiners will be asking about OCT calcium score and what is that, the rule of 5, sir, which sir told. The 5 means it would be 50% of the quadrant, like 180 or more in OCT. It should be more than 5 millimeter of length and 5 millimeter thickness. So, which is the strongest predictor of all these 3 points in a stent expansion of all the OCT parameters? It is actually the thickness. So, if the thickness is high, the chance of under expansion will be more. Coming to some ECG finding, okay, it is a congenital heart disease. ECG, anybody can get up and tell what is the diagnosis? What is this phenomena? Very good.
This was asked in the morning.
Yeah.
Madhulika's case, cataract.
So we know that we should know what is the criteria. So
anything here is significant. Another congenital heart disease. Anybody? Any of these already been marked? Basically, you have cut off in B2. This was asked again as a window phenomenon and they're mentioning electromechanical and anatomical explanations.
So examiner can ask you what is the pulmonary valve gradient in this ECG. So you should be prepared. You can, if this is a case of pulmonary stenosis,
IVS is intact,
yeah,
then they can ask you.
Yeah.
That was also asked on mine.
So you know that it is into 5. So this is a 55-year-old male post-DDR pacemaker.
This is, this gets one extra Honda in the next section. Anybody can answer this.
So
My Honda comes to you. Tell me what is this finding?
So there are 2 pulse generators. So, okay, one is the...
You could go a little higher.
Yeah.
You already answered that, but you could go a little higher than that. You see properly what's...
Very good.
That's not a Baros. Huh? So she gets it.
So this is you can see the electrode going up. So
That is a regular pacemaker which they put as a DBS in the brain.
So it is actually used for Parkinson's or chronic pain syndrome. So mostly they put PG over here and the lead is in the subthalamic nucleus. So this is a 20-year-old man post-op repair. So what do you find significance in this X-ray? Anybody?
That's it. Give them the mic, yes.
Anybody?
See the thing in the common area.
What has been done?
This was again a DNG question. It's not a conduit, it's too
So,
near to the conduit.
so which area is this exactly? Okay, so you can see a valve over there. Okay, so it is a post-pulmonary valve replacement. Okay, so you should be knowing about Melody valve. After that, you might not know about the valve, but they will ask you about the indication of pulmonary valve replacement after the TOF repair. So you should know. Yeah, anybody can tell. Yeah, please tell. Yeah, please.
And then there are anatomical definitions for it. Where do you
Okay, 160. Then there are some ECG criteria. There are some if the patient is asymptomatic, always you follow with the cardiac MRI. Okay, it is more than 160 and 80. And end systolic volume more than 80. And the RB ejection fraction should be less than 45. And the LV ejection fraction should be less than 55. Apart from that, what you said, ECG more than QRS 160, sustained tachyarrhythmias due to RV volume overload. So there are some pointers. There is a good article in American Cardiology, so you can go there. So, okay, we'll Go to the next question. This is a 60-year-old male, hypertensive, diabetic, CAD, atrial fibrillation. So, can you see some device implanted? How do you say that this is Watchman? So you can see there are two discs. One is here and another here. So Watchman is not two discs. It is amulet. Yeah. So, okay, you should first tell it is an appendage closure, not jump into the device.
This also was asked in DNB 22. It's all from those DNB slides.
Yeah. So you should know the indication of your appendage
Just
closure.
a small pointer, there's a lot of intervention being asked in those things. OCD, itis, just for the sake of the students.
So this is ischemic cardiomyopathy with NYHA class 4. Can you exactly say what all devices you can see in this X-ray? Pardon me if the X-ray is not that much clear.
This is also from 2020, mixed of COVID we had that exam directly from the DNB.
So what are the devices exactly what you are seeing? So as you can see,
and also a dual chamber ICD, sir, SPC call and RV coil is seen, and LVD is seen, sir.
okay.
What else is there?
Bipolar lead.
Okay. Yeah, somebody told impella. You can see over
Impella.
there, there is an impella over here.
Impella
Okay. So they will ask you what is the indication of impella, so you should be prepared for that. So another same patient in shock, what are the devices you can see in the X-ray?
IABP. IABP.
Yes, yes. So you can see just below the clavicle there is IABP. Okay, very subtle, but you can find it out. Yes, sir. Okay. DCMP recurrent hospitalization. What is this device? Which heartbeat? Yeah, this is heartbeat.
Shyam, we'll have your case. Shyam is around. Yeah, we'll have your case next. We're just running short of time. Sorry, Gary. Thank you so much, Gary. Thank you for the time. I'm sorry, we have to rush through because we're short of time. But a lot of these devices, a lot of this intervention is asked in a squatter. A lot of DNB people think it's 25 squatters, it's like chalta and types, it doesn't. Sometimes there are things which, we've never seen in those at all, because I think they are the tiebreakers. So anyway, we try to present and we try to take